I'm Allison Waters, RelayWare's Director of Communications, and today I'll be your host. With me, I have RelayWare Chief Marketing Officer, Jim Summers, and our Director of Pre-Sales, Simon Taylor. So let me give you a brief overview of RelayWare very quickly. Our mission is extremely simple. We improve your channel performance and accelerate revenue growth through your indirect partner network. And here's the kicker. We do this without any increase to program costs. We provide 4 role-based applications, which we call partner packs. These are built around RelayWare's years of best practices and best processes amassed from working with hundreds of channel pros. Our partner packs run on a common platform, the Partner Cloud, which integrates with all the major CRM providers to provide you with full pipeline visibility. So now that I've told you a little bit about RelayWare, today we want to give you some highlights from Simon Taylor's very popular workshops that he conducts for our customers. We can't cover everything, but Jim and Simon will share their expert knowledge on channel partner engagement at a high level. They'll go over why partner engagement is even more important today, what's different about partner engagement today than in the past, what are the key moments that make a difference in channel engagement, partner engagement best practices, and measuring your success. So with that, let's just dive right in. First up, Jim and Simon, let's just start with the basics. Can you tell us why engaging with channel partners is so critical to success?
Yeah, sure, I'll start. This is Jim Summers, Chief Marketing Officer here, and thank you for having me, and pleasure to be talking to all of you about partner engagement. You know, when you look at sort of one particular data point, which is the number of downloads we see on our website across different topics of content, channel engagement is clearly one of the hottest topics we've seen in our visitor traffic. And it's written quite extensively, not just by us, of course, but others like Forrester and SiriusDecisions and other analyst firms. Looking here at the topic of channel partner engagement, one report from Tim Harmon at Forrester on boosting channel engagement, which he published in January this year, said that it's flagging. Partner portal utilization in the tech industry hovers abysmally in the low teens. So when you look at engagement just through the lens of just the partner portal, it's certainly flagging from his vantage point. In a similar way, SiriusDecisions in their research says that program adoption by partners averages in the 40% range and can be as low as 20%. So something's certainly going on around engagement, and these numbers really indicate that there's something going on here that we're going to talk about. So going to the next point here, why also you should care. You know, this is anonymized data from one of our customers looking at the traffic to their portal, and you can see at the last day of the month and the last day of quarter, there are these huge spikes. It actually can be even more pronounced with other customers of ours where it's almost dead up until the last day of the month or the quarter. Which really indicates that a lot of partners are going and downloading and putting their deals in and registering those at the end of the quarter or the month. And engagement, aside from that moment in time, is very low, which is certainly not a good thing. But why do we really need to care about engagement? You know, engagement is a forward indicator to revenue. When you look at partner engagement, partners that are more engaged are more likely to be loyal to you versus your competitors, and likely to be driving a higher level of activity and productivity with their customers and your customers, of course, and ultimately generating more revenue for both you and for them. So engagement is incredibly important. If you get the engagement right, it is a forward-looking indicator to driving your business forward and turning your channel into a revenue engine.
Thank you. So that's why partner engagement is important. But there are a number of trends that affect the way vendors engage with their channel partners. For example, we know that SiriusDecisions research reveals that partner reps manage 1 or 2 key relationships and up to 6 minor partnerships that are each vying for greater mind share. So can you talk to us more about this new world order that's affecting these trends?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I give a big old amen to what you just said that SiriusDecisions said. In fact, when we did some research last year, some partner benchmarking, and we actually went out and did some research directly with the partners themselves, what we found is that, yeah, they're overwhelmed with the number of vendors that they need to manage. And in fact, here, 1/3 of partners, more than that, reported they manage between 6 and 15 partners overall. And clearly, half manage even more than that. So manage vendors, not partners. So it's certainly overwhelming. And making matters worse, they have to manage an average of 4 systems for each supplier as well, which is really crazy. So, you know, these partners are overwhelmed. You know, they've got a lot of vendors they have to juggle, and for each vendor, they've got a lot of systems they got to work with, and it's really crushing on them, the weight of really managing all this. And maintaining mind share is a challenge. But, you know, just to build on that, partners we're finding are increasingly more mobile. You know, they're not tethered to their desk and their desktop computer as much anymore. They're out there in the field and meeting with customers as well. So you can see, again, through our research that they're looking for more mobile solutions. So that makes the engaging and even more challenging because they're out and about and they're doing things, and again, they're meeting with a lot of different customers. You know, we asked the question a little bit more, what are you using, what do you want to use mobile for? And some of the things, you know, traditionally you would think that they want to use mobile to do training while they're on the road, or they want to register deals while they're out there in the field. And what we found was a little interesting here is that pricing and support are the most compelling apps to provide partners on mobile devices. So, you know, what this tells us is that, you know, they need help. They're out there in the field. So to engage with them, they want to be able to engage in a way that you're there in helping them when they need it, by helping them, you know, pull down the pricing information or have that technical support that they need while they're out there in the field. And things like MDF and deal registration are a little bit further down. So I think the new world order in a lot of ways is really about, it's not necessarily the quantity of pushing messages and trying to engage with them through traditional emails and those types of things. You know, what they say is that significant quantity of interactions is less important. What's really important is having short response time and having good technical support. And that's what's really going to drive loyalty. And as we said earlier, good engagement is going to drive loyalty. So being there for your partners is very critical, and engaging them in that way is important.
So Simon, you're out there day in and day out with our customers. Do you have any additional thoughts on changes to partner engagement in today's environment?
Yes, thank you, Alison. What I've noticed is that sort of 3 or 4 years ago, only a limited number of vendor partner programs contained, say, 2 or more of the traditional partner engagement initiatives, such as things like incentives, reward, MDF programs, rebates, training certification programs, or even partner tiering. But what I've seen over the last 3 years that is becoming more and more common is that more of the vendor partner programs, even newer, less mature channel programs, or even ones from emerging vendors, are actually including 3, 4, 5, if not all of these. In fact, I saw a startup business only a few months ago with a heavy channel focus, which is less than 1 year old, which actually had all of the common standard engagement programs up, running and working. Historically, it's only been the more mature organizations that had a lot of these programs, such as MDF and co-op and rebates, etc., whereas now it's pretty much every vendor.
That's super interesting. Now that we've talked about why, can you all share with us a little bit of the how? What are the best practices for methodically implementing a partner engagement strategy?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Alison. Partner portals are still key, and they should be considered to be the central hub in the wheel of all interactions with the partner. But what has changed is that if a partner feels like they're not getting the right information, or they're getting too much canned content, or the information they are getting just doesn't address their particular needs, they'll quickly start to ignore it. It needs to be fresh, it needs to be relevant, but most importantly, it needs to be personalized for each partner, depending on their geography, their language, their partner status, their industry, and so forth. The key to it being a success is that it needs to be mobile optimized too, so that the same content and functionality is available on mobile, tablet, and desktop. There's no happier moment than the day the partner agreement is signed, right? To use Gartner's parlance, it's the time of inflated expectations. So if you're not too careful with your partners, they can quickly fall into a trough of disillusionment and easily be relegated to the bad side of the 80-20 rule. To avoid that, it's important to onboard your partners quickly and effectively and capture their attention early. The most crucial time is actually during the first 30 days the partner's onboarded. It does apply later through the 60 and 90 days that follow, but during that first 30 days is really where you must capture their attention. These are some of the common steps that we take our customers through during this critical time. It can be high touch, it can be automated, but when it's successful, you've established a trust with your partners that they're properly equipped and able to go out and do battle for your business. And remember, engagement drives revenue. Using a very similar process, we work with Lenovo, a customer of ours, to develop such a process. And you can take it from Lenovo that they saw a 50% increase in their year one revenues from partners that were properly onboarded and engaged through such a process that we're talking about, when compared with those partners that went through their old simple onboarding process. And that's a significant level of additional revenue that's generated during that first year. And you don't have to take it from us. Forrester also recognized this success in their report.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think what we're seeing here is an interesting sort of distinction between onboarding and long-term engagement. And we think about sort of the new reality and some of the data that we shared so far in this webinar. And there is a new reality. There's a new world order out there that has kind of changed the nature of engagement. And you certainly, in the onboarding phase, it's the critical stage to having successful engagement. And that can be much more prescriptive, as you shared, Simon, on the previous slides, both our methodology that you use in the workshop as well as Lenovo. But once you get past that initial 30-day phase, it starts to change, where engagement becomes more on the terms and the needs of the particular partners themselves. And it's more about when it's necessary and convenient for them, right? So that's kind of the new reality that we're seeing here, and that's what we really want to impress upon you. So certainly you got to pay attention to the onboarding and be much more prescriptive, but longer term, it's important to set up a communication strategy in various touch points along a continuum of 4 stages, from the onboarding to the enablement to the motivation and the growth of your partners, where a certain behavior or activity is happening that triggers another kind of outcome after that. So maybe, Simon, you can kind of walk us through the slide and elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jim. The communication touch points, both during the first 30 days and after the first 30 days, can be automated so that when perhaps a partner logs in for the first time or after a certain number of days, they're asked to verify their details. When they take a training course, they're notified of the relevant related content, perhaps for an additional related training course, or perhaps for the product data sheets that are related to the product that they just took the training for. The key is for the messaging, be that whether it's an email, whether it's a push notification, is for it to be both relevant and timely, but most importantly, not to appear to be generic, so that when you launch your new campaign and they download that document, they get an immediate notification that perhaps they should take a look at some recommended related content to that particular download. Or even when they log in and register their first deal registration, or perhaps it's a deal registration for a new product that they've not sold before, they get a personalized trigger notification that recommends related content, such as product data sheets, product videos, or even upsell options. This is where you can really generate additional revenue from your partner network.
Excellent. So as you know, you can't manage what you can't measure. So if a company implements these strategies and connects with the partners at the key moments in time, as you were just discussing, what should they be measuring to evaluate success with channel partners?
Yeah, so when you look about measuring engagement, as we showed on the previous slide through the life cycle in those 4 stages, we think it's important to look at engagement across that continuum. So starting with the onboarding and then the enablement, the motivation, and the growth. And generally speaking, each of those stages has a role or a function kind of loosely tied to it. In other words, folks in channel operations are pretty focused and involved in the onboarding process. As you get into the enablement, you start hearing, getting the people from channel and partner training involved, then channel marketing with the motivation, and then channel sales to really drive growth. Looking below that, there is a standard set of KPIs that we help our customers through the RelayWare platform be able to track along each of these stages to measure their engagement. So the first and the basic thing there is certainly the number of portal logins and the time spent on portal and number of page views and downloads and requests that are made through the partner portal. But as you become much more proficient there, you can start looking at other things during the onboarding and saying, how are they engaged through the number of support calls that are being made? Who's really out there and using the portal and has maybe some issues? Who's making calls to their partner account manager or maybe to an executive? And what's happening by region, by partner tier, and by partner type or industry? Those types of things become much more illuminating as you start to really drill in to see how engaged people are at the advanced level. When you start looking at the enablement piece and training, of course, it's how many courses they attended, number of courses they completed, certifications. But what's happening from an online versus in-person training? What's happening on training on the mobile versus the desktop? Where are they falling off in the training process and where are they abandoning the training? Those types of things, again, will give you a good indication of how engaged they are. Motivation, really. Who's using the MDF and the co-op dollars? Number of MDF claims that are being made, incentives and rebates, and the numbers of those. Those are pretty typical standard performance indicators for that channel marketing stage. But then you can start drilling in and seeing how engaged and who's sending out campaigns, who's doing webinars, how many people are joining the webinar, right? How many press releases are they sending out, and social media posts and those types of things. And then lastly, from a sales perspective, of course, number of registered deals is really what we all want to see. And the number of meetings and appointments that are being set and the deals that are being closed. But what you're going to start to hear a lot more about is the commonality in sort of channel sales and marketing and correlating it back to sort of the waterfall metrics that we have seen in marketing automation. So looking at things like, leads that are generated, marketing qualified leads, sales accepted leads, sales qualified leads, QSOs. How are you analyzing at an advanced level what each of your partners are doing along those common metrics? So these are just some of the things that we coach our customers on, starting with the basics, not trying to boil the ocean, but really looking across the partner life cycle and tracking these long term as well. And of course, all this can be enabled, through RelayWare and setting up the automation as well that Simon talked about in the previous slide.
Jim and Simon, thank you so much. This has all been very informative. I'd like to open it up to questions. I know I've seen a few coming in now.
Sure.
Yeah, I have those here, Alison. Can you hear me okay in the UK?
We can, yes.
Fantastic. We've got three questions that have come through so far. The first one I'm going to aim at Simon. It asks, every year we trim out our bottom performing partners. As we look at partner engagement strategies, should I be focusing my efforts on partner engagement to help those bottom laggards, or should I continue to work on engaging the top performers?
Thanks, Karen. It's actually an interesting question. The effort that you focus on the bottom laggards is disproportionate to the sort of the return on that investment. So you tend to have to invest more to get a little back. Whereas if you actually take the same level of investment and focus that on the B partners, the sort of the middle ground, the partners who are maybe doing most of the things or some of the things that you want them to do, but perhaps not everything, in focusing on those partners, the improvement you see from them and the increase in revenue and the return on investment that you see far outstrips focusing on the laggards, and it's more likely to move the needle focusing on the sort of the middle ground to try to turn the middle ground into your top performers.
Okay, another one we have. Thank you, Simon. This is for you, Jim. You mentioned mobile at the beginning of the presentation. Is it enough just to have a responsive partner portal? How really necessary is it to have a dedicated mobile app to better engage partners?
That's a great question. I think the first thing is to start with responsive, and RelayWare is built in a responsive manner. So right out of the box, it's mobile optimized for any device. But I think that decision ultimately comes down to that investment in a mobile app and a native experience comes down to the uniqueness of your particular process, your business processes, and your industry. If you've got something pretty unique and sophisticated, you may need to do some customization. And sometimes if you're in a very, high-risk business where there's a lot of sensitive data as well being sent, you want to keep it real controlled in a native environment as well. That makes a certain amount of sense too. But ultimately what we're talking about with engagement is making it simple for the partners to use and having that experience be almost seamless to them. So if it's a complicated process and you find that the responsive approach is not quite simple enough for you to keep them engaged, then it may make sense for you to really make that particular investment in a native mobile application. And then, of course, there's other things that come into consideration, the kind of platform that you want to use and so forth. If you're using ruggedized devices, it can be a costly venture versus using that, if you can just work with iPhones and Android devices. So it comes down to some other questions. But start with the basics, start with responsive, and then we can help you think through whether or not a native application makes sense depending on your business needs.
Thanks, Jim. We've got actually another one just come through on mobile. So I missed it, yourself and Simon together, actually. It says your data shows that partners desire mobile access to technical support. Do you know of instances where RelayWare is used as the enterprise repository for a mobile technical knowledge base? Is it feasible and reasonable in RelayWare?
I'm happy to take that one, Jim. So it is feasible within RelayWare. We do have, the way our mobile app works is it displays the same content on the portal as it does in the mobile app. So whether you're accessing the data from a responsive portal, you're accessing the portal from the mobile app, you're able to access the same functionality and the same content. And where our customers have created knowledge bases, allowing partners to partake in discussions, perhaps to raise support requests, perhaps to be able to download documents and to access collateral, that works equally on mobile as it does on desktop. There are obviously some mobile limitations around file formats. So if you've got file formats that are not mobile compatible, then obviously they don't work on a mobile device, but all of the content that you have that is able to be viewed on a mobile device can be accessed from the RelayWare mobile app or from the RelayWare mobile responsive portals.
Thanks, Simon. I'll throw one more in since we've got a couple more minutes left. Have you seen these partner engagement strategies take a vendor from being a partner's secondary focus to becoming a partner's primary vendor? I might throw that back to Simon again.
Thanks, Karen. Yes, we've actually seen that on a few occasions. Both Avid, Lenovo, and Kaspersky all rolled out very similar programs to this. Going back to sort of 2010, when Lenovo first started working on their partner engagement strategy, they were the fourth leading vendor of PCs worldwide. They're now #1 leading vendor, and they've done that climbing of the ladder in terms of revenue and shipments of computers through their channel. About 90% of their business is done through the channel, and a lot of that choice was done through engaging their B partners, engaging the partners who weren't that engaged in the channel program to actually become engaged. And they still focused on their top tier partners, but by focusing more of their efforts on that middle ground, they were really able to move the needle and become primary vendor or primary focus in a lot more of their channel partners.
That's fantastic. I just had something pop up that somebody's opened the floor to the entire audience here, but it may be worth us giving some views. Do we see any differences in partners using portals for different international countries?
We do. RelayWare is, as a platform is fully localized so that you can offer content that's specific to different countries, be that your data sheets, be that the actual portal content, or just as simple as the translations that you offer. Many of the RelayWare portals are translated into 22 different languages. We've also got customers who operate in 100, 150 different countries with different localized content in all of those. And some of the differences we see, obviously, is there is behavioral differences. There is differences in the way that partners in Japan choose to interact with deal registration and with training material, but also differences in the way that reward and incentive programs can be received globally. So very much you have to gear the program. Some things work globally, some things need to be addressed on a regional basis, and some things need to be structured differently on a country-by-country basis because there are different rules, different regulations, but also different behavioral differences between countries.
Thank you, Simon. We're running near to hour now, so I'm going to cut questions at that point and hand back.
Thank you so much. You know, Jim, this is a really rich and very quick presentation. Can you give us a very quick summary?
Yeah, I'm happy to. You know, I think what we're trying to impress upon everybody is that when it comes to engagement, the world is certainly different with partners. Getting to them is really challenging given the amount of time that they have, how much they're in the field, how busy they are, and how many vendors they're really managing overall. And also, a lot of companies have done a pretty good job, as Simon said, with the basics with partner engagement. And you certainly need to be prescriptive to get partners on board them and get them quickly engaged in the first 30 or 60 days. But you can't stop there. You know, the days of the newsletters, the email blasts, the partner summits and stuff like that certainly have value, but engagement, the success around engagement comes down to being there and being at the ready and easy to do business with when your partners really need you. So we encourage everybody to really think about the moments of truth, per se, along that partner journey, and being there in a way that you have automation built into your partner systems and processes so that when they're acting and behaving, you're responsive in real time and making them successful. And RelayWare, of course, is here to do that with our automation technology to set up with our business rules that kind of model for you. And at the end of the day, you won't really know what the impact is until you look at the numbers and see how you're driving revenue, and that's really the name of the game.
Thanks again. So our intention was to keep this at 30 minutes. There's a lot more behind this presentation. We do have a companion white paper. If you'd like a copy of this presentation or the white paper, feel free to email us at marketing@relayware.com. For anyone who's looking for more information on RelayWare or best practices in general, please do visit our website. You'll find our library of resources. You can also request a demo to see our solutions to help you improve your channel performance and accelerate your revenue growth. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.